Hi friends, welcome to Beautifully Bookish Bethany, where I have new videos every week about books and the geeky mom lifestyle. In today's video, I am sharing with you my August book haul. Okay, so this month I have a total of 26 books coming into my possession. Some of these are books sent to me for review or complimentary titles for promotion from publishers. I have a couple that were sent to me by other people. I have maybe more that I bought for myself than I should have bought for myself, but we're gonna get into all of it. Then I have 4 books that I can't show you because they're for a vlog project that I'm working on, but to give you a little bit of a sneak peek, I will show you them backwards. These 4 books were sent to me from Mara over at Books Like Whoa for a project where we are swapping TBRs. So we each bought each other 4 books, and then we are going to be doing reading vlogs, reading those books. 4 of the books that I've hauled this month I cannot show you because they are for a video. So little teaser there, I'm excited for that project. With that said, let's go ahead and start with the one other book that was sent to me as a gift this month. This is the special edition of The Last Wish by Andrzej Sapkowski. This is the first book in the Witcher series, and this was very kindly sent to me by Jackie over at Evil Queen Books. She's a booktuber, and this was so kind. She didn't have to do this, but she sent it as a thank you for I guess involvement in the town hall, which I didn't even host. That was really, really sweet of her. So she sent me this, which actually I'm excited to have. I just think it's like a really pretty edition of it. I do have a paperback copy, but it's getting kind of beat up because my husband is also reading the series now. So thank you so much to Jackie. That was really sweet of you. Next up, I have my Book of the Month Club box. As you guys know, I am no longer an affiliate because they've canceled their affiliate program, but I do still really like what they're doing and a lot of the books that they're featuring. And if you're wondering about the apology and what they said they were going to do, at least from my perspective, I think they've done a fantastic job with the selections that they have been picking. I'm very excited for the 2. I bought 2 this month. So I do subscribe to this myself. If you guys are interested and want to use my link down below, I get a free book. I like it as a service. It's $15 a month including shipping for a new release or pre-release hardcover. You have 5 selections from different genres you can choose from. You can do add-on books for $10 each, up to 2 add-ons a month. And if you don't like any of the selections in a given month, you can skip, which I think is cool. So let's go ahead and open this up and I will show you the 2 books I got. I am very excited about it, actually. So the first book I ended up choosing as my selection for this month was The Death of Vivek Ogee by Ogee. I am really excited about this. I've heard so many incredible things about Ogee as an author. Jessie from Bow Ties and Books raves about them all the time, and I've been interested, but I think a little intimidated because from what I hear, their books do tend to be more dense literary fiction. However, based on reviews, it seems like this one is a little bit more accessible, and so I'm hoping this is a good place to start, and early reviews look really, really good. So this novel is set in Nigeria, and it's about family and friendship and loss, and apparently has great characters, so I'm looking forward to reading this. Ogee is a Black non-binary author, and I've really been wanting to read something from them for a while, so I'm really happy to have a copy of this. And what was really exciting is this month Libro FM also included this book as one of their influencer review titles, so I have the audiobook, so I'm hoping I can get to it relatively soon. The other book that I picked up this month is The Space Between Worlds by Micaiah Johnson. This is a debut adult sci-fi novel by a Black author that has a multiverse element to it, and what's interesting about this one is I initially wasn't going to pick it up because I tend not to prefer sci-fi that has like time travel or multiverse timeline elements to it. However, I decided to take a look at some reviews and I found this one really, really great YouTube review, which I will link up above if I can find it. I can probably find it. I'll find it and link it for you guys. But in this YouTuber's review, she was talking about how the author is using this multiverse thing with the main character as a way of talking about bigger themes that I do love reading about, like privilege and racism and inequalities. And so I am excited for this. It's, I think, a case of where the trope is not something I naturally gravitate towards, but if it's used in a way that's interesting to me, I think I am pretty likely to enjoy this. And I'm going to be reading this next month. So those are my 2 Book of the Month Club picks. Again, I really like the books that they've been picking, and I like a lot of the books they had picked previously, and I just think they do a good job too of getting books into the hands of a lot of people because they have such a far reach, especially for authors who are just emerging into the market or from marginalized groups. Yeah, I'm a fan. So excited to have those. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the books that were sent to me from publishers this month. Oh, but before I do that, I actually do have one other book that was sent to me from a friend. So Isabella over the Feminist Bookworm had an arc that she didn't think she was going to get to before release date, and I was like, yes, please give it to me. This is Each of Us a Desert by Mark Oshiro. I am super excited for this. So Mark Oshiro's debut novel, Anger is a Gift, I had an early copy of and reviewed it and 5-starred it, and it was one of my favorite books the year that it came out. And it's funny, now I'm seeing a lot more people start to pick it up and read it, which makes me really happy. I'm so glad it's starting to get even more traction in the booktube community. This is Mark's first fantasy novel. I haven't heard too much buzz about it yet, but it is coming out in September, and I'm super thrilled to have this. So another one that I'm hoping to pick up very soon. With that said, let's go ahead and talk about books that were sent to me from publishers. Tor very kindly sent me a finished copy of I Come With Knives by S.A. Hunt, which I did read and review last month, so I will link that up above if you guys want to hear my thoughts on it. This is the second book in a paranormal horror series following a punk YouTuber who hunts witches and like films it. So I really enjoyed book 1 in the series. This one I liked, but it was a lot. It's a lot of intense gory horror and slasher horror and body horror, a little much for my taste, so I didn't love it as much as I did the first book, but I still really like a lot of what it's doing, and I like the way that it's subverting different tropes and the way that sometimes part of what's really horrific is racism and homophobia. Also, what might be interesting about the series is the author is a trans woman who is former US military, and I do think that you see some of those elements populate this series. One of the characters is a disabled veteran who deals with PTSD, so there's a lot of bigger themes in here where it deals with trauma, it deals with depression and medication and therapy. So there's a lot going on here, even if this one took some of the horror elements a little bit further than I tend to prefer. I do like a lot of what this is doing, and I am planning on reading the final book in the trilogy. Thank you to Tor for sending me a copy of I Come With Knives. Then Fierce Reads very kindly sent me a finished copy of a book that I am planning on reading in the coming week, actually. This is Traitor by Amanda Macrina. You've probably seen this on my channel before because I had an arc and then they sent me a finished copy. And by the time this video goes up, this book should be available. It is a debut YA military thriller that is set in Poland in 1944, so on the Eastern Front of World War II. I've heard really good things. I've heard it's very fast-paced. I've also gotten to hear from the author, and I know it's very well researched, and part of it is coming from interest in researching her family history because her family is from Poland. So I'm looking forward to reading this one. Thank you so much to Fierce Reads for sending me a finished copy. Then Orbit sent me an arc of a book that I'm really excited for. This is another fantasy debut. This one is The Bone Shard Daughter by Andrea Stewart. It is coming out on September 8th, so this is another one I'm planning to get to very soon. You're gonna see this on my September TBR. Set in an Asian-inspired world, this tale of crumbling empires and battling heirs marks the debut of a major new voice in epic fantasy, perfect for fans of The Poppy War and City of Brass, both of which I really love. I want to say the main character in this might be queer as well, based on what the publicist had sent to me, but I'm not entirely sure, so don't quote me on that. But it is own voices for the Asian representation, and early reviews of this look really good, so I'm super excited to pick it up. Next, I have an arc that was sent to me from a fellow YouTuber, and I am really excited about this. She is an author tuber who I've met in person a couple of times, and when she emailed me asking if I would be interested in reviewing her book, I was like, yes, please sign me up. That sounds fantastic. This is The Cyborg Tinkerer by Meg Latour. This one is coming out in November, and you can expect to see me reviewing it in September or October. That's kind of the timeline I'm working with. So Meg is from the YouTube channel iWriterly, and I will link her down below if you guys want to go and check her out. It's a sci-fi steampunk romance with a bisexual heroine, and I am super excited for it. She said that this one is action-packed, but also has some steamier scenes to it. Definitely looking forward to reading this this one. Again, it's coming out in November if you guys want to go and pre-order it. Thank you so much to Meg for reaching out to me and sending me a copy, and I will be reading and reviewing this in the near future. Then, as always, I have a few books that were sent to me from the Harlequin publicity team for promotion on Instagram. One of them is Here to Stay by Adriana Herrera, which I've been hearing really great things about, and I have enjoyed the other books that I've read from her before. She's a Afro-Latinx romance author who often writes queer characters. I don't know if the ones in this book specifically are queer, but I have been hearing great things about it, and it sounds awesome. This one follows a woman who moves to Dallas with her boyfriend, who then quickly leaves and goes back to New York, leaving her alone, trying to start over in her new life in a new place. But she does love her job. She gets to run the charitable department from an iconic high fashion department store. But then they hire an outside consultant who wants to do away with her department, and she has to try to fight for it, and then of course a romance develops between her and the consultant. This one sounds like a lot of fun. I've been hearing really good things about it so far. They also sent The Amish Newcomer by Patrice Lewis. If you're looking for a sweeter, more PG sort of inspirational romance, this is a good line to pick up, and I actually really enjoy some of these when they're well done, like when the characters are well developed. This one sounds interesting because it's about a English girl, or like a, you know, regular girl, thinking of becoming an Amish person, and so that sounds interesting to me, kind of that transition as an adult, and of course a romance. Then we have Secret Crush Seduction by J.C. Lee. I'm excited for this one because I really enjoyed the first book in her series, her debut. I really enjoyed that one. This one follows the sister of the hero from book 1 and her relationship with her childhood crush, who is also her brother's best friend. So really enjoyed the first book in this series, so I'm excited to try this one too. And the last book from Harlequin is The Last Man She Expected by Michelle Major. This one is pretty wild. It's sort of an enemies to lovers plot where a woman falls in love with her ex-husband's divorce attorney. That is something else. So that one should be interesting. And the final thing that was sent to me this month, before I get to all of the books I bought myself, I was not expecting these at all, so huge thank you to Quirk Books. They sent me a paperback copy of The Princess and the Fangirl by Ashley Poston and a hardcover copy of Bookish and the Beast, which is the new book in this series. I really love this series a lot. Geekerella is the first book. They're all YA romances that are kind of fairy tale retellings, but surrounding this geeky convention, and they're a lot of fun. So yeah, huge thanks to Quirk Books. I didn't know they were sending these. So Princess and the Fangirl is now available in paperback. It just came out. And Bookish and the Beast obviously is the retelling of Beauty and the Beast, and it's the newest one. And the hardcovers of these are just so pretty. So thank you so much to Quirk Books. Last set of books. I have a decent sized stack of things I bought for myself this month, but I am really excited to have them. First up, I have 2 classics that I purchased, and part of this is because for September, my Patreon book club was voting on a classic novel to read together. So one of the 2 books that I purchased is the book that was chosen for the book club, and the other one was a runner-up that I still wanted to own and read anyway, so I decided to grab myself a copy, especially when I saw this really beautiful edition. So the book we're going to be reading for Patreon book club is Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. So I thought it was a great opportunity to get myself the Penguin cloth-bound classic edition of this book, adding to my little collection. You can probably see part of it right in this area. I don't have very many of them, but I do think they're really pretty. So I grabbed Sense and Sensibility, and I'm excited to read that with my patrons. And then the other one that I picked up is this gorgeous Penguin Vintage edition of Passing by Nella Larson. This one is a Harlem classic that I've been hearing a lot of people talk about recently, but the first person who I think turned me on to wanting to pick this up is Bree from Bree Hill. She's no longer making YouTube videos on here, sadly, but you can still find her on Instagram. She does a lot of romance, but this is one that she read. And like I said, it was written during the Harlem Renaissance, and it is a book about passing. So it follows 3 black women who are able to pass as white, and 2 of them choose to live lives passing as white including like getting married to men who don't even know that they're actually black, and one woman who chooses to live as a black woman and kind of compares their experiences. So this sounds really interesting. It seems similar to The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. I haven't read that one yet, but I think it's dealing with similar themes, but in a classic novel. So I really love this edition. I think it's stunning. So I'm really happy to have that. Then I had one pre-order that came in this month, and this is Lobizona by Romina Garber. You've probably heard me talking about this quite a bit lately. It is one of my favorite books that I've read this year, and it is an amazing YA fantasy that's kind of a mix of urban fantasy and portal fantasy, featuring Latinx werewolves and witches. I really, really love this. And it gets at a lot of bigger issues as well, such as how we handle undocumented immigrants, issues of misogyny and homophobia. I loved this, and it's one that I hope to reread in the future, and I really wanted to own a copy. And like, look how stunning it is. It's just so pretty, and the finished copy has really cool maps, and like, can we just appreciate the naked hardcover? It's gorgeous. So that one I had pre-ordered, and it will be going on my favorites shelf. Then I have two books that I read in ARC form and ended up deciding to purchase finished copies of because I liked them and want to own them. First up, I have Harrow the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. This is the follow-up to Gideon the Ninth. I love Gideon. It's one of my favorite books. This one I didn't love as much, but I still really enjoyed it, and I love what the author is doing with this series. So I think I am going to want to own the entire trilogy. I'm a little bummed I didn't think to pre-order it because now I don't have the pretty black sprayed edges that the first printing had, like I do with Gideon, but it's okay. It's still a really pretty book. I love the covers of these. I just think they're so stunning. The end papers are awesome, and under the book is really cool too. So I will link my non-spoiler review of that up above if you want to check it out, but purchased that. And then after sitting on it for a while, I also decided to go out and purchase The Year of the Witching by Alexis Henderson. If you saw my wrap up from last month, you probably know that I was on the fence about whether this was like 5 stars or 6 stars for me, which 6 stars is what I give a favorite of the year or a favorite of all time. And I think this is kind of nudging into the 6-star range the more I kind of sit with it. I loved this a whole lot. It's a really smart horror novel set in a puritanical community following a young woman of mixed race whose mother had been burned for supposedly being a witch, and whose father had been burned for his non-marital relationship with her mother. And there's a dark wood and there's evil witches, and it starts out bloody and gets bloodier, and it deals with like corruption and abuse within religious organizations. It's so good and so smart, and definitely one I could see myself rereading, so I decided to go out and pick up a finished copy at one of my local bookstores. I am happy to be adding that to my shelves as well, and it will be also joining my favorite shelf. Okay, 3 more books to share, one of which I actually read this month, and that book is This Is My America by Kim Johnson. I do talk about this in my August mid-month wrap-up, which I will link up above if you want to hear me talk more about this. I did give this book 5 stars, but it is an intense one. It's a debut YA novel that is kind of a mystery thriller, but it's dealing with issues of racism, white supremacy, and police brutality. It follows a teen girl whose dad is on death row for murders that he did not commit, and she is writing weekly letters to Innocence X, which is this organization modeled on the one that Bryan Stevenson runs, trying to get them to take her dad's case and help keep him from dying before time runs out. While all this is going on, her brother is accused of murdering a white girl from their high school and goes on the run, and she is determined to find out what really happened and clear the names of both her dad and her brother. So it's a lot, it's really intense. I had to take a break partway through it, but it is fantastic and nuanced and really well done. So I also picked up a copy of that. Then, kind of on a whim, I decided to grab a paperback copy of a book that some people had recommended to me. This is Halfway to the Grave by Janine Frost, the first Night Huntress novel. This is kind of part of this paranormal romance with vampires kick that I'm on, and I heard that these were good. I've been interested in reading from Janine Frost and never have, and so I thought, let's just go ahead and get book 1, because why not? And the final book that I purchased this month, you might be surprised to know that I don't already own it, but I finally went out and grabbed The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. So I love everything that I have read by N.K. Jemisin, and I hear so many amazing things about this book in particular. This is her newest book, and it's like so pretty and colorful, and I always meant to grab it and just kind of hadn't, and I finally was like, you know what? I'm going to get the audiobook, I'm going to get the physical book, and I'm going to read it this fall. So September, I think my TBR is too full, but I'm hoping maybe in October I can get around to reading this one. So there you have it. Those are all of the books that I have hauled so far in August. As usual, I am filming this about a week before the end of the month, so anything that comes in that final week will go into my September book haul. And I do have at least 2 things that are still coming to me that I ordered because I've been buying more than I probably should. But at least like some of this is stuff that I already have read, or like classics. I don't feel too bad about it. Talk to me in the comments down below. Let me know any of your thoughts or feelings on any of the books that I shared in this video. And for question of the day, why don't we talk about classics? If you have a favorite classic or a classic that you've really enjoyed, let me know what it is in the comments down below and what you really love about it. And actually, maybe at some point I will make a video about this because I have a lot of feelings about classics. I used to read a lot of them. I know I don't anymore. I would like to get back into it. And I have some definitely specific taste in what I enjoy. So with that said, if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.